Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. In this video we will be covering what would happen if the All-Stars teams were assigned correctly. If you want to support me, please like and subscribe. You can also share your ideas in the comments on what you want to see next. So in episode 1 of Total Drama, All-Stars, the teams were assigned villains versus heroes, but there was two wrong placements. Gwen and Courtney. This is because Courtney was the main antagonist of season 2, so her and Gwen will switch teams. So Joe will still be the runner for the villains. But for the heroes there's a big change, because Courtney is on the other team. She won't force Lindsay to drive, but because Zoe suggested Mike drives. I can only believe that Mike would take Lindsay's place. The rest of the challenge would play out the same, with everyone going back and forth with the keys.
Get in the lock. It doesn't fit because it's the wrong key. Right, man? Key. Oh, maybe they left the window open.
Until Alejandro comes out of the robot and gets the key for the villains. The team will probably blame Mike for this, but because Zoe and Cameron are friends, they will probably vote Gwen. Because Gwen isn't friends with Zoe at this point, and also she is considered a boyfriend stealer, so them three will vote for Gwen. Sierra, Sam and Gwen will vote Mike. And Lindsay will vote herself. This means we have a tie between Gwen and Mike. But I don't think Gwen will win. This is because I doubt that Gwen will be able to beat Svetlana, Vito and Mike. And even if it's an eating challenge, Gwen has shown not to have a strong stomach, so Gwen will be out. Episode 2 would play out the exact same, with Mal now returning and Lightning losing the challenge for the villains. So Lightning will be out. Episode 3 would change a bit. The loot will stay the same, with the heroes getting the little crate and the villains the big crate. But one major change, because Duncan and Gwen aren't on the same team, Duncan won't take a dive for Gwen. And because Courtney and Sam aren't on the same team, she won't use him as a shield. The villains will still lose like in the original, but because Duncan wasn't nice and Courtney wasn't evil, they won't switch teams. Joe will still be flesh. Nothing will change about that. Episode 4 will once again play out the same, with Sam not actually eating all of his pancake and everyone voting him off. Episode 5 will also stay the same, with Cameron quitting but Chris switches him to the villains. In episode 6 Heather will still go around, telling everyone to vote Alejandro. The heroes will still win and sadly, Heather will be tricked by Elle. In episode 7 Duncan will still recognize Mal and try to warn Zoe. Zoe will get her free point. Scott will lose to Fang. Sierra will still lose to the rat thing. Alejandro will still be Jose. Mal will still be Dizzy. Cameron will lose to the Gophers. But because Duncan isn't going through his bad boy crisis, he will win. Now because Gwen isn't playing, I changed this part. Because I think Courtney will spin it and it will land on Gwen. Courtney and Gwen will fight it out and eventually make friends again. In the original, Chris gives them the points, so he will do the same. But just to Courtney, so this means it doesn't matter who Lindsay fights. This is because the score will be 4-3 even if Lindsay wins. This is also a Gwen cameo, with Cameron on the villains team. He will still tell Sierra she needs to look after Cody and they will all choose Sierra. The regatta episode will change a lot. Alejandro will still win immunity, but Duncan won't destroy Chris's mansion. So he won't be automatically taken out of the game. He won't destroy it because he was on the villains team the whole time. This means he won't think people think that he's soft. So because Duncan isn't taken out of the game in the original, Mal rigs the votes against Cameron, and without Duncan to stop him from going out, Cameron is voted out. At the beginning of episode 9, Mal will try and frame Alejandro rigging the votes, but because Duncan didn't destroy Chris's mansion, Chris won't be in the spa hotel. So Alejandro won't leave the hot tub and find the video of Mal. This episode was definitely the most difficult to rewrite, but because now Gwen is already voted, Zoe and Lindsay will definitely become friends. But a giant change. Because Cameron was voted out, he wouldn't kiss Courtney. But because Lindsay, Zoe and Mike are all together, they will all slide into Courtney and Scott. Courtney will then argue with them all. This will cause all 5 of them to be caught by Zeke.
Inside your face. So now you don't? No, I don't think I...
The change is that, because Cameron doesn't fall, Alejandro won't be slowed down, therefore Zeke won't find him. I highly doubt Duncan is gonna not be found though, but I think he will expose Mal in front of everyone in the cage. Mal, Zoe and Lindsay won't listen. But Duncan will imply he framed Alejandro, and Alejandro will back him up later on. So I think they would manage to convince Courtney and Scott to vote for Mal. Because Mike isn't in the game anymore to help Zoe. Alejandro will win immunity. But because Zoe is angry at basically everyone for voting Mike, everyone except Lindsay would vote her. A major change now is that, without Mal here to destroy the chocolate fire plant thing, Courtney wouldn't sit and complain about her ice cream melting. This means a bird wouldn't barf on her ice cream. This inevitably changes the challenge. This is because Chris changed the challenge to eating the ice cream. The reason for is Courtney thought she could feed the interns gross food, but now because Chris doesn't change the challenge, and Courtney is first, she would win immunity. But now Mal and Zoe are out of the game. If we're being honest, everyone is gonna vote for Alejandro. This means he is out. So the final four is Lindsay, Duncan, Courtney, and Scott. Scott will keep the loot he was assigned in the original, Lindsay will get the painting. Duncan will get the gilded Chris, and Courtney will get the Yeti, because the painting had dirt on it and in the original. Gwen messes the painting up. In this universe, Lindsay will do the same, meaning she gets fourth place because she made Chris barf. Courtney, who won because she was first and got the Yeti, would pick Scott to go to the finale with her. Courtney's helpers will be Heather and Gwen. Scott's helpers are Mike and Alejandro. Mike will still come back after he defeats Mal. Heather and Alejandro will also still be dating, and each winner will get alternative endings.